Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever the case may be. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today for the Redfellas, the last Redfellas, under the stewardship, the management of Jurgen Klopp. Welcome, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. You're all very welcome. Make us feel welcome, make us feel good by hitting the like button on your way in. Jurgen Klopp, in one of his 1,500 interviews that he's done since full time, said it doesn't feel like the end. It feels like a new start. Redfellas, how you doing? I'd like to come to heaven. Do you feel that way?
Yeah. I mean, I'm feeling quite a bit, Grizz, just sort of across the board. Feeling is the verbiage I would use. I feel a lot of things right now. Definitely cried a few times in the past 48 hours. Definitely some tears were shed. Um, it's an emotional day. It's a very, very emotional day. Um, I'm so glad to be here dissecting it with the red fellas though, because without Jurgen Klopp, I probably wouldn't be a red fella or anything on the internet in terms of, contributing to Liverpool content. So grateful to be here talking about the final day with the rest of you. It's a privilege, and who knows, maybe I might cry again. We'll see.
Shout out to Omar who sets the streams up for me along with No Beats, and he said in his description of the show. So here we are, the day we were all fearing. Jurgen Klopp's final game as Liverpool manager, and boy, what an emotional ride it's been. Today is a day where emotions will be all over the place, but also no doubt a celebration of all the great moments under Kloppo these past 9 years. And then he goes on to say, the fellas will be here to digest and debrief the action in the way they always do. It's going to be difficult to unpack everything that we saw in those, I don't know, 2 hours or so, Conroy, of today's coverage. The game, pretty much of a blur to me, but just the overall happenings uh, really got to me right at the end. But how are you and how do you feel?
Yeah, no, Grizz, I feel quite reminiscent today of when Gerrard, the Crystal Palace at home, that wasn't the last day, that was the penultimate weekend before that, but that was a similar sort of anticipation with that game coming up. And I remember I was a bit very emotional that day. Today, I'd say yeah, slightly emotional, but to be honest, I think if you compare the both, at that time there was a lot of, we didn't know where we were going. There was a lot of uncertainty. Feel if we ever could get to that perch, as I'd said before. And I feel like it's not like that today. I think if you compare both, I feel like we're going to speak about the speech and what he said and what a classy act he was, especially during the speech. As always, I feel like if you compare the both, we're not at that point now. We're in a much better position because of that man. And I feel like you can never ever forget what he's done from where we were to where we are now. And at this moment in time, after watching the full post match and all that, I've got to be honest, I'm not 100% on Arne Slot. We're going to speak about that more in the summer. I get that. But from hearing that speech, I'm definitely more positive than I was. It just feels like sometimes I always listen to the reference, it's a Dark Knight reference. You see, if you live long enough, you see the hero become the villain. I'm not saying Jurgen Klopp would ever do that, but he's obviously felt like this is the best time for him to leave. And I think the whole procession today, everything involved, it really was a enjoyable event, to be honest. More, I think in his words as well, he said he thought he would be a wreck, but it actually was quite a enjoyable moment, and I think a legendary moment in club history, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Conroy. I think that's very well said. None of your business. It's not sure if my red eyes are from hay fever or watching the post-match speech. Stefan says, I have terrible anxiety. Big up the panel. This is what we're here for. Like Kevin said, when we have situations like this, we have gone through the full range of emotions under this man and we've had highs. We've come on this show absolutely buzzing our tits off. We've come onto this show where it's been a fucking mission trying to get one of these to even come on because they're so down. We've had all the highs, we've had all the lows, but this is what it's about, guys. And Cav, we'll get into sort of the moments sort of where we kind of lost it, where we were speaking off air. But yeah, just your overriding summarization of the couple of hours today.
It's a beautiful sadness. We've had quite a few therapy sessions this season, and this one is probably the biggest, but slightly different because it's sad, but it's also so happy as well. It's a crazy emotion going on, like a mix at the minute. But first thing I'd like to say is I thought this week's media coverage with Jurgen Klopp, how it was set up, the time that was allowed for him to go and do interviews with different broadcasters and media outlets and so on. The presentation and delivery of his goodbye, I thought was brilliant. I think it's so difficult when a man of such stature who's been here so long and means so much to all Liverpool fans and football fans and beyond, it's so difficult to surmise their time and what they mean, and try and deliver a send-off that's worthy of what he is. So I think that they did achieve that. I think the interviews, the playbacks, the recollection of memories, the players and the staff integration into it all, I think was beautiful, and it really did summarize who he is as a man and how he's been able to achieve the greatest things at Liverpool. So I think the week leading up to this game was brilliant, and it helped us all reminisce in the good times, which is where the happiness came from. And yeah, the speech and the awards and the credits to all of the staff and stuff, I just thought it was great. I was really proud of us as a club, to be honest with you. It really hit home again today how special we are and how different we do things. And I know every football fan, every rival fan thinks their club's special and they do things different, and it means so much to them, and that's fair enough. But I got to admit, I just can't see how any club does it better than us, to be honest with you. I think it's so special, and you had to be there and you had to be us to truly understand it. And I just feel so grateful and lucky that I've been at a point in my life where I've been healthy and had the opportunity to witness it all, and I think that's an incredible thing, and so much has come along the way, and we'll all reminisce today and over the summer about all those times as well.
Keith, I think Cav's nailed it in terms of the way you have to be us to realize what we mean by this. And it's, obviously everyone can describe it in their own way, but until you feel it. Now, some small sections of the Arsenal fan base have felt it last couple of years of what we're actually up against, or what we've been actually up against for the last 7-8 years. But, we haven't only just been glorious failures. We've had tremendous amount of success. In fact, we've had the most success apart from a team that is owned by a state and has 115 charges against them, allegedly. So it's not all about glorious failure. It's about a celebration of 9 years, right? That's how I looked at it. We know we started this celebration about a couple of weeks back where we said it's the Klopp farewell party. Do you remember from the Champions League qualification onwards? We said, listen, we're not going to have moaning and groaning for the last couple of weeks of Jurgen Klopp, because fucking hell, did you guys see him today? Did he look like someone who's down and out? Did you guys see the energy up to the last very fist pump all around the grounds? He wouldn't want to go out like that, and he most certainly wouldn't want us to go out like that.
Absolutely. I think he often uses this phrase where he says, football is not the most important thing in the world, or the most important thing in life.
It's the least most important thing in life, he said.
Yeah, it's the least most important thing, but for 90 minutes, we'll give it a good go. for everybody that loves Liverpool and is a supporter of football, I think sometimes you used to hear that and used to think that does bring it into perspective. The problem is, and it was a beautiful problem to have, is that year after year, Jurgen Klopp made supporting Liverpool more and more important. He made watching a game, a 3 o'clock kickoff against away to Southampton, more important. He made watching a League Cup 4th round game more important. What he brought to the club is he elevated the importance of Liverpool Football Club and what it means to be a supporter and how exciting it is to watch our team week in and week out, more and more, to the point where at one point it became all encompassing, right? That I will say between the eras of 2018, 2019 season, right through even if you were to put in the 21-22 season as well, because obviously COVID in between, it became all encompassing. You didn't want to miss a game. You couldn't miss a game because you knew that every game was an important game, and a win was going to mean that we were going to be challenging for the league, and a win was going to mean that we were going to get through to the next round of the Champions League, and we were just winning and winning and winning. And so you're right to talk about how Liverpool fans often get, the Mickey taken out of them a bit, where it's kind of like, oh, but Jurgen Klopp only did this. But the ride in which we went on, you would die for that as a football fan. There are how many teams? There's 92 teams in the Football League. They would die. I'd say about 90 of them would die. Yeah, 90 of them would die to live every week knowing that this team's going to go out there, they're going to entertain the hell out of you, they're going to win, they're going to make you feel really happy, and you're going to talk about it all week until the next game, and you're going to talk about it all week again until the next game. So, as I said, Jurgen Klopp may have thought that football wasn't the most important thing in the world, but he made it, for us as Liverpool fans, in his 9-year tenure, the most important thing in the world. And 9 years is a very, very long time. I look at it from my lifespan. When Jurgen Klopp took over, I was, in my mid-20s, just starting out in the working world,
going mad on wild weekends. Oh wait, hold on, still going mad on wild weekends.
A lot more tame. I mean, just to show the difference between then and now, I actually went out Studio 338 last night. I caught the last train home. When Jurgen Klopp first took over, I would have
walked home train. Or called the police to come and take you home.
Exactly. I would have found me somewhere. So yeah, I grew with him and the team. The team grew, and yeah, I just want to thank Jurgen Klopp for making Liverpool the most important thing in our life. To be honest, it's been an amazing journey.
It's been an amazing journey. I guess we have to try to make the show as normal as Jurgen Klopp calls himself the number one. Didn't want to make it all about him. And look, we will do more and more content, obviously, in the next few days about Jurgen Klopp and his legacy and the time he spent. But in the grand order of things on all Redfellas, every Sunday night, we will try to make sense of the game, Jurgen Klopp's final selection. He stayed loyal to the end, Evan. Loyal to Harvey Elliott, your guy. Loyal to his DM that he signed at the start of the season, Watoro Endo. And loyal to the young, sensational find of the season for me in Jarrell Quenza, the centre-back. I guess loyalty from the start, loyal to the end. He had to end it this way, right?
Yeah, definitely. There's a nice mixture in the starting 11 of Klopp favorites, of players who in recent weeks and months have played their way into the team ahead of others. This lineup had a really nice balance to it. You touched on Harvey Elliott. I mean, this has been a breakthrough campaign for him. He wasn't always an undisputed starter this campaign, but it would not be a stretch to say he's been our second best midfielder this season, in his own way. Just really, really racking up the assists, really making all the right decisions in the final third, which I think is his strongest asset, is just decision making within 30 yards of the opponent's goal. And another great performance from him today. You touched again on Jurgen Klopp, and I've been bursting at the seams to say what I'm about to say all season, but I didn't want to say it because we were in a title race, we were leaning on him heavily, so much expectation. When someone like him has such a meteoric rise, you don't want to place too many expectations or lavish too much praise. But now that the season is over and we have a full sample size and body of work of Jurgen Klopp, this is one of the best young defenders in world football. This really is, for him to come in from the level that he was playing at last season and only make 2 noticeable mistakes all season. Really, I mean, if someone can think of some other notable ones that I've.
Are you referring to Palace and United?
Yeah, those are the ones that come to mind. Perhaps there's some other minor ones, but those are the ones where he was punished. To come in like that and be preferred at times ahead of more seasoned players like Gomez. For us not to have such a significant drop off when Konate was playing and he was playing there instead. Jurgen Klopp, wow, and it's a. What I love about it the most, Grizz, is his trajectory from where he was last season to where he is now is a reminder that anything can happen. Like really, in terms of development, it validates us looking at players who were on loan in obscure places and sort of wondering, can they come in and do a job? And do more than a job, become an established member of the first team. Connor Bradley, of course, another guy who fits that sort of description. I thought Jurgen Klopp was incredible today. Obviously, Wolves didn't pose much of a threat, especially not with 10 men. But on the ball, I think he's as good as most ball playing defenders I've seen, to put it that way. We got Joel Matip for free. That looked like and that's proven to be an extremely savvy piece of business. And we've seemingly replaced him for free with another similar sort of player. So I'm glad you touched on Jurgen Klopp because I've been wanting to lavish as much praise as he deserves for a long time.
No doubt. There's praise to be lavished on him, and we should do so. He obviously sets the tone with a tremendous block, Conroy, in the first few minutes, where Wolves. Why are you so threatening? I looked at the team lineup of Wolves and I said, "What's the matter with you guys?"
I thought the same thing.
Like, play the game, guys. Like, know your role. But hey,
Relax.
Wolves are a handy team. Gary O'Neill is a great young coach who's probably got is a great career ahead of him. They didn't read the script, and we kind of sort of nearly done our usual of letting an early goal in, but
well, they've done that in the last, was it 22, the last title race as well. They scored, I think, within the first minute.
Yeah.
Pedro Neto just dribbling down the right hand side. I can't remember, was it Hwang who scored that day? But you think it's the perfect recipe for us conceding early goals or conceding first this season, and we've played them about 1 million times on the last day, so you felt like that was the perfect recipe. But with that great block, and then I think as well Alisson's save as well, that was in the first half as well, was it not? Yeah, that was the first half. That was a brilliant save as well. So it definitely felt like they didn't read the script. But you've seen it before, Grizz. The amount of last day games, it's funny how certain teams, they should be on the beach, but I think some managers especially want to be the villain of the piece at times and lay a statement. So yeah, never be surprised in football matches. But yeah, the way the game started, you're a little bit thinking. My big thing, and I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, was when Gerrard was leaving, that season just felt so unfitting and so Liverpool at that time, to be honest, that we were ran, we were organised, just everything. It was just a mess. Losing 3-1 to Palace, Yannick Bolasie in the penultimate game, and then getting battered by Stoke City, 5-0 down at halftime, 6-1 we lost in that game. Now, I'm not expecting that to happen, but in my head, I'm like, do you know what? Fairy tales don't happen in football, but just give them a win. Just give them a win to end on a win at Anfield so they can have a nice speech after it. And it just seems more fitting. Football doesn't work that way, but that's what I was hoping for. But at the start of the game, yeah, as you say, Grizz, a little bit like, oh, what's going to happen here? And as Keith mentioned, because we've been conceding a lot this season. You're praying for that clean sheet, as we said before we came on.
Cav, the first major incident of the game involves a referee, involves David Coote and Graham Kavanagh, the on-pitch referee, and David Coote is in charge of VAR for Jurgen Klopp's last game. Amazing. At first, the referee gives Semedo a yellow card. As soon as I see the first replay, I say, yo, that's a blatant red if ever I've seen one in the current way the game is refereed. We got a David Coote decision going our way. It's mad, isn't it? We got a tight offside the other day against Villa on VAR. I mean, are they doing this on purpose just to fucking really piss off Jurgen Klopp when it doesn't count we're getting these decisions? Or was it an obvious red that even our very own Conroy can't argue with? You're on mute.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I thought it was a red card. I didn't. Once he gave the yellow, I actually didn't think he would be sent to the monitor to check it
that's
again.
Exactly it.
It was subjective. It wasn't a clear error. So, and you've seen him giving his yellows, but you've also seen him giving his reds. You know, it's not too dissimilar to McAllister's and Curtis's red card this season, to be honest. So, I think it was a red card. I think it's harsh. I think it's just a sorry state of football now, isn't it? That, you know, if you're just slightly a few inches above the ankle, then it probably will be a red. A few inches less, it's a stud on the foot, which is painful, but, you know, you dust yourself down and carry on, you know. It's the way it is now. I don't personally like it. I think you should be able to commit to challenges and be able to try and win the ball. But if you do get the timing wrong, it doesn't matter who you are or what you're in, you know, whether you see it being as intentional or what. It is a red in today's day and age. But then that happens, and then my instant thought was, oh, they're already got 5 in defence and sat back with 2 holding midfielders in front that are quite energetic in Lamina and the other chap. And I just thought, this is it now. They're just going to sit back even more. And we wanted goals today. Do you know what I mean? I mean, the clean sheet was nice, but we wanted goals. We wanted a celebration. You didn't want, I mean, Anfield was great. The crowd was constant, but you didn't want it to go flat because 90 minutes is a long time to keep chanting Jurgen Klopp's chant. So we wanted goals, and I just kind of thought, oh, if they sit back now, you know, are we going to struggle to create? And luckily that didn't happen. We actually did still create chances and score goals. So that was great. But yeah, red card, unfortunate for Semedo. But it is what it is, and you move on and you try and capitalize on it, and that's what we did.
We capitalized on very, very soon after. By now, we were dominating the game anyway, Keith, and it's amazing, isn't it? It's like Wolves had another awfully tall team out. I was thinking, my God, proper land of the giants. Kilman, Bowley, all 6 foot. Gomez, sort of the other midfielder, Lamina. All huge guys, right? And there's Harvey Elliott, young Harvey Elliott, diminutive 5 foot something, crosses the ball into another diminutive 5 foot something who heads the goal in. It just shows you that it's not the size that counts. It's what you do with it, right? So, like, in terms of technically, right, people, you can smile and you can laugh, but this is a football show. This is a football show. No, but this is a football show.
I only laughed because I saw Cav laughing. I didn't.
No, and of course, I know, one by one, and then Keith just suddenly turned like Keith must have seen used to snigger away and then done a full out laugh. But I'm not going to lose my composure because I'm a professional. No. And I'm a professional. This is a football show. And people, if there's children in the chat that want to say pause and all of that business, we're talking about football. We're talking about analogies in football. It's a football show. So it just shows you that you don't have to be big, tall, and massive and to win headers. It's all about executing the pass at the right time, technical ability. And that's what Elliott showed. And that's what the run of McAllister showed and the finish. Beautiful to see. Beautiful goal. 6th assist for Harvey Elliott, 10th in all competitions, and McAllister's had a bit of a rough patch, but it was good to see him get on the score sheet.
Yeah, good to see McAllister in the type of positions we like him to be in. I think that goal between those 2 players epitomized Klopp's talk at the end when he was talking about us not, spending whatever we want and blowing out big budgets on players. You've got Harvey Elliott, who we got him for a couple of million quid. We spotted the talent, and Klopp gave him the opportunity to say, okay, we think you're good enough, go and prove it. And the second half of the season in particular, Harvey Elliott has taken the ball by the horns, and he was just popping up everywhere. He's so confident in wanting to receive the ball and dictate play and move the ball from left to right. And he's just he's becoming a bit of a what's the word I'm looking for? A trademark of Harvey Elliott from the right hand side, cutting onto the left, whipping it in, and his crossing is really, really good. It's
very good.
So much. This is not the first time a goal like that's been scored. So, kudos to Harvey for taking his opportunity, and kudos to Klopp for once again showing that actually we didn't need to go and blow up the budget in the summer to find a player that was going to take Harvey Elliott's place. Harvey Elliott said, okay, Szoboszlai's come in to replace obviously Jordan Henderson as he left. I'm going to fight for my place, and he's kept Szoboszlai on the bench. So massive respect to him. And Grizz, to your point, all jokes aside, some of the best, actually, I would say in terms of attacking headers, the best person we have is Diogo Jota, other than Virgil van Dijk. Right, Diogo Jota, for me, out of all the forwards, if any of them were going to go and rise for the header and score, it would be him. So height takes nothing. You don't need height or you don't need power when you have timing. Timing is everything, whether it's in boxing, in MMA, or in football. If you make the right time,
we saw the perfect example the night before in the Usyk versus Fury fight, right?
Exactly.
I could have used that analogy. Maybe it would have been better, but hey.
But it's true, because Usyk ultimately, what made him ultimately defeat two giants? It was his timing. He gets to the punch first, and in this situation, McAllister got to the ball before any of the other giants and scored a brilliant goal. So. Beautiful goal. I'm starting to love the way that Harvey Elliott's turned it into a trademark, and it's just something that epitomized. And on the subject of Alexis McAllister, I just think that ultimately we played him too much. But if you were to look at who I would say was my second best player of the year, it has to be McAllister. I think the way he's come into a club like Liverpool, the way he's taken to it like a duck to water, he's taken the pressure, he's taken the extra spotlight, and he's just run with it. And you know what I also respect about him and Luis Diaz as well is there's a Copa America coming up this summer. They went out there today and they ran their hearts out for Jurgen Klopp. They fought for Jurgen Klopp on his final day in a dead rubber. And when knowing that they could, McAllister could have got badly injured from that challenge, for example, and his Copa America.
It seems to be McAllister on the end of these fucking challenges.
Always. It just goes to show that there was a stat talking about how McAllister's the most dribbled past player, but one of the things that I will say is probably McAllister's definitely in the midfield in the Premier League. He must be up there with the amount of duels that he attempts, because he's always involved in these. He always nicks the ball and he always gets crunched. So, honestly, I love the fact that McAllister is a Liverpool player, and just goes to show what Conroy was talking about when he said that, what's been left behind is just, it's an exciting time to be a Red, regardless of the change. And McAllister is one of those players who gets me excited for next season.
Leighton says, we've seen Harvey Elliott level up in front of our eyes in the last few months. Could be a dark horse for the Euros.
Do you know what? I just wanted to ask that quickly. There's just too many. I mean, we got to decide whether Jude Bellingham or Phil Foden are going to be. You got Bellingham, Foden, Palmer. I think Harvey Elliott may be wrong player at the wrong time. So I just wanted to give my 2 cents to that for England right now.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I don't particularly want him to go. I think he deserves a rest. He's played a lot of football this season for still a relatively young player. Don't forget he played for the under-21s in the preseason as well, going straight into the season. Some lovely comments before we get on and move to the second goal. Big up Team Kopish. I don't know if that's Matt or Cal or Drift, whoever it is. Bless up, guys. Thank you very much. Doing great work over at Team Kopish. Make sure you guys go and check them guys out as well. Big up yourselves. There's a lovely comment from Sleeping Dragon. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you all for your hard work putting out content this season. 100%. It's absolutely appreciated, my red brother. Thank you very much. That's very nice of you as well. Big up the Mandem on the Klopp farewell stream. Slap the likes and show some love from Sean. And we've got a very generous super chat from Shane, who's a member and obviously a regular caller in on the call-in show. He says, great send-off for Klopp. I cried all game. Third and a trophy is fair. He says, this season has shown we are close, but we need a few new players. Need to tie down Trent, Virgil. Kloppo is a legend, and his speech embodied who he is, selfless. We will get into that, Shane. We will move into that after our sort of analysis or run through the game's events, which involved his Drift. Big up, Drift. Love you, bro. Evan, second goal, a bit of a scrappy one. It was typical of Mohamed Salah's last 6 weeks or so. A bit of a feeble attempt at a strike with his right foot, was it? And there is our new goal-scoring sensational centre-back supreme. That's 2-2 for Jarrell Kwanzaa. Matip, an iconic attacking centre-back. The day he leaves Liverpool, a new, fresher, younger, maybe more aggressive, younger version of Joe Matip arrives on the scene, right? Jarrell Kwanzaa. Poetry.
Yeah, absolutely. Jurgen Klopp, fox in the box, absolute maverick in front of goal. Joe Gomez got to just be sick to his stomach, you know.
Oh,
You know, I'm sure I speak for all of us when I say that we all kind of got
even he would have
tired
scored
of
that.
Yeah, we all got kind of tired of the cop yelling at Gomez to shoot. Even the cop themselves kind of got tired of it, but. I mean, once we reached a certain point in that game, I was absolutely in favor of bring Gomez on and let him have a few goes from 40 yards. But Kwanzaa just in the right place at the right time. Another interesting fact about that goal, that was the record-breaking goal for league goals in a season. So there's been, and I don't know if y'all have been keeping up with this, there's been an uncanny amount of goals being scored by all the Premier League teams. Kwanzaa scored the goal, that broke the record for most goals in a Premier League season from all 20 teams contributing. So etches his name in the history books right up there next to Alan Shearer, undoubtedly. But I was laughing as I was watching the replay because my dad talked to me. He was like, "Oh, Salah's pissed. Salah's not going to sit next to him in the lunchroom for a few years." But watching it back, Kwanzaa, the defender clears it off of Kwanzaa's leg. So Kwanzaa had to be there to make sure the ball went in the net. But, so you're right, Grizz. The finish was sort of epitomized Salah's ball striking since post-AFCON. So but I'm made up for Jurgen Kwanzaa because last week's goal was so great, and for all the reasons we've already discussed, more power to him. If Joel Matip's moving on, he's always been a threat from set pieces. So it's nice to see that not only Kwanzaa do all the good things you'd want a defender to do, but he also seems to be a threat. So more power to us, because as City and Arsenal have underlined heavily this season, being able to score from set pieces really increases your title credentials. So
absolutely does. Shout out to my very good friend Adam Ramjon is in the chat. He says, "I am Phil." I will be getting your predictions. Adam Ramjon I've known for best part of 40 years. 40 years. And every season he texts me on the opening day of the season and says, "We're going to win the league." And he's been doing it every season. Be interesting to get his text on the opening day of the season if he says it for next season. But listen, what did you guys think of the Harvey Elliott and Alexis McAllister celebration? They tried to mimic the Nunes one. And do you think that went down the tree? I think it's a bit awkward, or was I reading too much into it? Didn't work out quite smooth.
He's a Mate boss, isn't he? Now is it McAllister? He's got his own company now that sells.
Has he?
Yeah. Like he's got his own. I think they make the Mate pots and he sells it. So I think that's why they keep doing this celebration with him, because I think he really is the Mate boss.
Amazing. I mean, look, 2-0 at half time, down to 10 minutes. It's all about sort of what is it all about at this stage, Conroy? It's a weird part of the season, weird feeling, isn't it? Klopp, trying to stay as professional as he can, Conroy, and are we expecting changes galore, people coming in and off? Obviously you're allowed 5 substitutions but only in 3 batches, right? Or something like that. I was doing the watch along. I wanted changes from minute 60. I just wanted everyone to feel part of it and feel loved. I wanted to go for Nunes. I wanted, I don't know, maybe an appearance from, Bradley, which he did get in the end because he's been such a pivotal player for us this season. Was you sort of anticipating changes as well? Because the game's done by now, right?
Yeah, I think if you could say, let's get a perfect set of circumstances, that would be it, for the last couple, say 30 minutes to bring the subs on. I think inevitably that's what happened about 60 odd minutes. He makes the changes, Szoboszlai, Nunes, I can't remember exactly the set that come on. And he kind of does it that way. He probably tried to keep it as professional as possible, Grizz, to still treat the opposition as a threat, because to be fair, there still was a few little moments as well where if Wolves had better decision making, they could have made a little bit nervy towards the end. But I think overall, he probably wanted to just make sure the game was won and let the players come on when they could. And if you look at not the form he's in right now, but if you look at players like Nunes, we just mentioned Szoboszlai as well, they're not in the greatest form. So coming out in that against 10 men, try and get their confidence up a bit is probably quite a good move as well, and try and make everyone feel part of the atmosphere in the moment. But again, that is probably just because of the way the game panned out. I feel like you've got to still treat the game as professional as possible. But yeah, and it's such a weird one because
very weird.
Cav mentioned earlier, I think it was me and Evan used to have this conversation, I think it was last year, where it was like when Liverpool would play against 10 men, they used to really struggle as well. Thankfully, wasn't like that today, and it's not been like that this season. But it was such a strange game because you got the second goal as well. You just felt you could control the game as best you could, try and catch another goal and just play it out. But then again, do you know what? It's quite ironic for the amount of excitement, basketball, the great entertainers, as Keith referred to this season. It was quite nice to have a second half that was more predictable, to be perfectly honest. I quite enjoyed is monotony, is that the right word? Or the boredom, or the predictability was very nice, I have to say.
Cav, at this stage, it's all about, as I said, substitution. The games, we're missing chance after chance. Salah should have scored a couple of trademark goals where he cuts in and you think just the finish is missing. Gakpo miscontrols a couple, but overall does okay. Luis Diaz, again, maybe flatters to deceive. We should have scored more goals. It should have been a procession of goals, I guess. But we start looking for the substitution. 71 minutes. Trent Alexander, McAllister, Diaz all go off. Bradley, Ryan Gravenberch, and Darwin Nunes come on. Massive hugs, massive chances. Those 3 players, Conor Bradley, Ryan Gravenberch, Darwin Nunes. I guess huge summers coming up for them as well, right?
Yeah, it would have been nice. It was said on commentary if could have got us a third goal in the second half. Just to not lift the crowd. The crowd were up; they were having a good time. But just to add to the celebrations, give us a little excuse to go a little bit crazy, and start throwing things around and pushing each other and going right. But it didn't come, and we just went through the whole songbook. At this point,
that was nice.
Being sung, Genie's being sung, everybody got their moment, everybody who has a chant at least anyway. When the subs are happening, I'm just thinking, is he going to make subs to give players coming off a chance to say goodbye for this season? Take the applause from the crowd and just have that moment where the cameras are on them and the crowd is focusing on them coming off the pitch. And likewise for the players coming on, is he going to bring players on just to give them here you go, have your minute running onto the pitch where everybody's going to be focusing on you? But actually, I don't think he really did that. I think he actually made substitutions as he would if it was the game in the middle of the season. It was about the game, ultimately professional to the end, which is what he said at the start. He was in game mode, and in fair play, he handled it like a proper Premier League game, and tried as much as possible not to make it too much about him. But yeah, the guys, Conor Bradley, the future is incredibly bright for him. I think he's a
Do you know what?
dead
We've actually kind of taken eye off the ball with him, obviously with the injury and Trent returning and Curtis Jones, Szoboszlai, all the big guns returning. We've forgotten, like, for me, up until his injury, he was on a par with Jarrell Kwanzaa in terms of find of the season. We need to remember that.
Yeah, he was for a period of 5 or 6 games, he was probably the best right back in the world. You know, he was playing out of his skin, defensively and offensively, contributing with a goal and the assists. He went through his injury and obviously an unfortunate passing with his father in amongst that as well. And he makes his return today. And the future is incredibly bright for him. I can't see a world where Arne Slot doesn't like him, to be honest with you. I think he offers so much. And he's a player that's guaranteed to get minutes next season, I think. Gravenberch had an up and down debut season, bags of ability there. A player that the next manager may or may not like. And we'll just have to see how he beds into the system. Incredible talent. You could see him being a real top player if he does suit the system and he finds his feet in this team a little bit better. Szoboszlai, I think, just had a below par second half of the season, but I've got bags of belief in this guy. I think he's really gonna step up and be one of the best players in the league. That's how I think he really will be. Maybe next season, the season after. I think he's got that much ability. Just probably needs to believe in himself a little bit more.
And also, I think it may be, and we're going to get into sort of the futures of the players as obviously the season's ended now. So we're going to do more shows. In fact, probably next week we'll do have an assessment of the squad and the season. But just very briefly, have we misprofiled him as a player? Maybe in terms of a role, like maybe too hastily converting him into an 8. And with a lot of defensive responsibility as opposed to letting him run wild like he was a playmaker and attacker. Very similar to how Curtis Jones was before Klopp got hold of him in terms of changing his role. So Szoboszlai had a free role, almost creator, winger, maybe assessing of his role in the summer.
Yeah, I think so, but I think the same goes for all our players. Yeah. All our players now get a fresh start. They all get the chance to impress the new man. He will have his own ideas as to how to play and what sort of formation he wants, and it's up to the players to tailor their attributes towards being the best option to get in that side. But Szoboszlai is somebody a little bit, you could say, like Gakpo, where his physical profiling and the ability that he's got perhaps lends him to so many positions that he would just fall victim of being moved around and utilized all over. But actually, he needs time in a set position with set players around him to actually really, increase that performance and form. So hopefully he gets that opportunity. Me personally, I do still have him down as an 8. I think he's got so much ability and running power that I would just like to see him really excel in that position, because I think if you get that, you've really got a powerful player in the center of the park. So I don't think he's dynamic enough to be out on the wings and relied upon to create and score goals. But I think he'll contribute enough from midfield in that respect, and then the work rate will be a massive contribution as well. So I think they've all got a chance to prove themselves, which is so exciting for them all. And Klopp kind of said as much in his farewell sort of meeting with, or post-match with the players in the dressing room. He said, change is good, and it's an opportunity for you to go and to showcase what you're about. There's no loyalty anymore here. It's a new manager, fresh pair of eyes, fresh ideas, and it's for you to go out there and impress him, and that's good for your career. And he's dead right. There's no resting on your laurels now, so they'll go on and progress. And for a lot of players, that's really will be beneficial to them. Perhaps it will be for Szoboszlai and what have you. But I think the guys that come on today, they didn't do much, to be honest with you. They kind of just matched the performance of everybody else and wasn't quite enough to get a goal. I think Núñez worked hard, but wasn't particularly doing much effectively. So should have got another goal, but that's the story of the season, unfortunately, isn't it?
Well, this is what, first shout out to Skip to my Lou, very, very, very regular and old member and channel subscriber. He says, evening, Redfellas and fellow Reds. A lot has changed in these past 9 years. Grateful for you all. Smash the likes for Kloppo. None of your business, Keith says, our XG was 5.57 for us today. Pretty much that sums up our attack this season. Hopefully next season we are more clinical in front of goal and a lot better defensively. even though we won 2-0 and we kept a clean sheet, and you was boasting about a clean sheet off air against the 10-men Wolves, there was still some issues
No
that
shame.
he's shameless. He's fucking shameless, Keith. Uh,
Reason.
but having an XG of 5.57 and still not being able to convert. And you know what? Cav touched upon sort of the substitutions didn't have that much of an impact. They haven't had much of an impact for ages. Like these, there is after all the glory and the celebrations and the memories of Jurgen Klopp, we will ask questions, and there will be questions asked about quite a bit of the squad.
I don't know. I have to counter that. I think Slot. I would be surprised if there's going to be any major changes in the squad. I think someone like Arne Slot's probably going to look at this squad of players and the talent that he has available, and he's going to probably feel like a kid in a candy store, to be honest. You got to think this guy's come from Feyenoord, where he's had to really spend cheap. I mean, he was really he wasn't a checkbook manager at all, and he had to get the best out of players that were costing a couple of million. We weren't even in the tens of millions. Now he gets to manage talents of the likes of Gravenberch, Soboslai, Nunes, Diaz, and he's probably going to look at this and I hope that he's got a plan to get the best out of them. It's a bit of a weird season. This season has been a weird season, right? Because I feel like we as football fans, as people in general, we consume so much content, and we're grateful for everybody who consumes our content, but we consume so much content that it feels like season starts in August, September, October, November, December. So we have 5 months of the season was in 2023. But you could probably think that those 5 months happened 3-4 years ago, because time is weird these days. Like, it's hard to conceptualize time as much as it used to be, because the latest thing, the latest news comes out, or the latest performance, and we deep dive into the performance, and then the next game we deep dive so much that we almost forget what happened at all. Like, if you take a sit back and look at the season, I mean, Liverpool scored 3 or more goals in about 16 of the 22 wins that we've had this season in the league. Like, when we talk about attacking, when we talk about creating chances, even today, right, an XG of 5.57. Yeah, one argument can be is that we were wasteful in front of goal, but another argument can be is that we still created so many chances this season, so many opportunities to score goals. And by and large, the players took them, maybe less so when the pressure got to them. And that will be a key thing that Slot's going to have to deal with. When the pressure cookers turned up, right, I'm not worried so much about us going into next season, the start of the season. What was a big highlight for me this season, and where Slot's really going to earn his money, was the month of April. The month of April was arguably, it was a free flow. And the reason why it was a free flow was because, in my opinion, it was still a relatively new team, a new group of players who didn't quite know how to control situations that they were in, that control situations under the highest pressure. Because when we were at the highest pressure, when we were fighting for the Premier League, when we were in the title race, at one stage when we were top of the league, when we were in the European quarterfinals, when we were in the FA Cup quarterfinals, when we just finished the Carling Cup, injuries or not, whatever, that's when it kind of fell apart, really, and the pressure told. So when we do win 2-0 today, and obviously I'm gloating about the clean sheet, we kind of did so in a less pressure situation. So that's going to be my biggest question mark with Slot going into the new season. How are you going to build a system that is going to be able to control games in high pressure situations? And maybe it'll be a midfield overhaul. I think there's definitely going to be changes, because obviously we're losing Thiago, who was arguably one of our highest paid midfielders. So that's going to be a really interesting replacement, which I think is going to be replaced. And ultimately Joel Matip as well, who was arguably he would have been starting most games this season, because he was at the start of the season. So there's going to be some personnel changes, but I don't think it's going to be as big as people say, unless players force a move out. So we're saying about Darwin Núñez's body language. Might he force a move out the club? I can't see Luis Diaz forcing a move out the club. Can I see any of the midfielders forcing a move away from the club? I don't see it. So that's where I'm really interested to see how Slot earns his coin. How does he control games with this group of players, Premier League experience now, who have been together for a full season, who have played a lot of football matches? We're going to score goals. We're going to create chances. But how can we control the game to ensure that we're not conceding as many goals, or not even conceding goals, conceding momentum? When we look at the Man United games, for example, in particular, we conceded momentum, right? And then once we conceded momentum, we started leaking in the goals as well. So, you know, I'm not necessarily on the same wavelength as a lot, and I got quite a lot of criticism on Twitter about it when I made quite an impassioned speech to suggest that actually I can't see a lot of personnel change, particularly in the attacking third. But, you know, what I am expecting going into the new season and where Slot's really going to earn his money is how can he make sure that these group of players are ready to make sure that they do not concede momentum in football matches. And I think the Premier League is violent. It is a violent league, right? Whether you're playing Arsenal or Luton, if you concede momentum in a football match, whether it's the 10th minute of the game or whether it's the 80th minute of the game, you will get punished. And this season, I think that's been our Achilles heel.
I think our summer shows where we talk about ins and outs will be very, very fun with you on. I think you've nailed down a place inside place. I think you are absolutely nailed on to be a star on those shows. So yeah, look forward to those. 2-0 final whistle.
Grizz, can I just add one thing on Keith's points? Sorry to interrupt. I think the difference though that I'm seeing from right now is Keith is Arne Slot, the model right now. The coach from now on is not going to be in charge of signings. That's the way it looks like. So I don't think that's going to be the manager's problem. I feel like he, at the same time, I don't know the specifics, but to me, it'll be like if there's to be stuff done in the summer, that is the model that they've brought the band back together with the background staff now between, you know, your Edwards, Julian Ward, whatever you want to say, to make those decisions. And I think from looking at it, that's going to be the way forward. So it's not going to be as much of a, I'm sure there'll be a say, but it'll be they'll give the players, and that is the manager who's going to do, you know, like make those players work, if you know what I mean. I feel like you have to remember the people behind the scenes, though, are ruthless when they need to be. So I'm not so sure that'll be the case, because I think, even like we're talking about Szoboszlai, that's a £60 million player who's been bought in to be a difference maker in the middle of the park. He's not bought in to be a left winger. He's not bought in to be a right winger. So if it doesn't work, then they're probably going to look, well, I'm not saying they'll do that, but they'll get their money for that now and move on to someone else that can do that job. It's not going to be a loyalty brigade. It's not going to be, oh, we can sentimental. It's going to be ruthless. So I think that's going to be interesting, to be honest. There's going to be a lot of conversation in the future. I would also say as well, I think, Keith, you're bang on about the midfield. We lost a lot of experience. Experience doesn't always mean technically brilliant players, but it means when to calm a game down, when to keep your head. Like, you can love or hate Gary Neville, but he continuously says Anfield for the first 20 minutes when Manchester United were winning trebles would still just keep it simple and not let that team get any momentum. I feel like at times this season our midfield just kept trying to play, and I think with experience you gain, you'd know when to just keep it simple. We're under the cosh right now, and if you look at Milner, you look at Henderson, you look at even Gini Wijnaldum at times, they had that experience to just calm things down. We've got leaders in our team, but we've not specifically got leaders, I would say, in the middle of the park at the moment. But I think Alexis McAllister after this year, whoever's going to be there, Elliott's still a very young player, but they're going to gain experience from this season to improve on that. And I think I sometimes used to debate that you could just shove a technically brilliant midfielder and they don't need to have been in title races before and they would still perform. But I think you've seen it this season, and Keith's spot on that the difference experience makes in those situations when you're really, really under it in certain away grounds in the Premier League makes a massive difference. And I think you're absolutely bang on there, Keith. That will improve going forward.
2-0. Game management perfect. Clean sheet perfect. Should have scored more goals. Yeah, Keith was celebrating, you know, each offside trap that worked. Keith was punching the air, doing Klopp fist pumps. But Evan, all eyes switched to sort of the closing ceremony type thing. I was okay at this stage. Was you okay at this stage? Everything seemed under control. Klopp was, the song started bellowing out from 77th minute onwards, I think, and pretty much stayed, sang right until the final whistle. But I guess there was a few tributes. There was a few farewells, not only Jurgen Klopp and his coaching staff, but players-wise. And the first man to come out was Thiago Alcantara. I've openly said that I was like a transfer kid Christmas when we were signing him. I thought this was one of my favorite players of the last few years, and I could not believe that he was coming to Liverpool. And I was so gassed, as the youngsters say these days. I think we saw glimpses of his amazing genius, brilliance in the quadruple season, and probably in the injury hit season where the last 10 games he was phenomenal. But overall, we just cried to see more Thiago Alcantara.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not a stretch to say that if we could have gotten Thiago even 20 to 25% more fit, we could have been walking away with another one of the big ones. Absolutely. I remember in the warm-ups for Paris, it was up in the air whether he would play because he had picked up something in the warm-up. Our success in 21-22 was so intimately linked with getting him and Fabinho on the pitch at the same time, and we just couldn't do it enough. That was the only thing when I was crunching the numbers to see why City had beaten us to another title on the final day. You're looking at all the team analytics and XG and shots allowed and XG per shot and shots allowed versus, all these sort of just crazy metrics, and not much really separated Liverpool and Man City, except for one thing. City kept their best players fit more than Liverpool did in certain positions in the midfield. So, yeah, Thiago, without a doubt, on ability, one of the best players to ever play for the club. I think in terms of just natural talent, as good as anybody in this league. When he could actually string together some months of consistent first team action, there's few in the world better. But just couldn't happen for him, and it's a pity and it's a shame. But it was also a privilege and a real flattering moment for him to come to Liverpool, because it was a sign of our strength at the time that we had earned and we had developed. That this guy, 30, 31 years old, at the peak of his powers, trying to go for one last big silverware push in his career, he would choose Liverpool to do that. Especially when everyone had these predefined ideas of what a Klopp midfielder was, and he was not that. So it was a huge statement of intent from us. It was a milestone in our journey back to the top of the footballing pyramid to be able to attract a player of this age and this caliber and this level of talent. And it's just a shame that we couldn't keep him fit. And it's just a shame that he couldn't, be more present even in this final season. But like you said, Grizz, the process of signing Thiago was one of my favorite transfer sagas of the Klopp era, just in the way that it played out, and the conflicting reports, and this person saying this person saying that, and then it all just sort of fell together. And also I need to give people shout outs, since we're shouting out various members of Liverpool staff. Shout out to the media and communications team, because the media campaign they had for the signing of Thiago was just absolutely top tier. Taking the song made by the fans, endorsing it in that way. I remember there's the one where Thiago's like whistling his song as he's being revealed in the video, that was just top
Brilliant.
class from the media team. That'll live long in the memory. Yeah, just a guy who on the pitch, incredible. Just
a couple of. Sorry, go on.
Just do things that make my jaw absolutely drop. Doing things with the ball I had never seen before from any player ever. That's the level of talent we're talking about. It's just a shame we couldn't see it more often.
While we're on the Thiago Alcantara tributes, best moments, guys, very quickly. There's a few I can remember, but I won't cheat. I'll give you
breaking the passing record on his debut.
That's a great shout.
Yeah, I mean that's just my first memory of Thiago.
Yeah,
I could think of others.
That's a great shout, Keith.
Good friend of mine, Arsenal fan. He watches the show as well. You might be watching tonight. His name's Neil, and I bought some VIP tickets to go watch Liverpool versus Arsenal at Anfield. Right, so we did the whole coach to have the meal, and the coach takes you to the game, all that kind of stuff. And that day, I witnessed him live for 90 minutes as we absolutely destroyed Mikel Arteta's Arsenal, by the way. And it was when they had the scrap in him. I think we ended up winning 2-3-0, something like that. And I got to watch that guy in the flesh. And I swear to God, I've never seen a midfield performance like it. He was doing no-look passes. And me and my mate were laughing about this. He was doing no-look passes in his own half. Yeah, to just play ridiculous passes. And you just watch him live, and his head's always on a swivel, and his body's moving from left to right, and he's just, it's almost like he does feints as if he's Usyk, on the ball every 5 minutes. And obviously he's an Arsenal fan, so his team got absolutely demolished. And I will remind him for every single day, if he ever mentions, Thiago was this, Thiago was that, I was like, you remember the day you sat next to me and you watched his brilliance in the flesh for 90 minutes. That for me is my best Thiago moment. Was just he terrorized Mikel Arteta's team that day. And he's just the one thing I wanted to add with Thiago, which surprised me the most about him, was how much he was willing to get stuck in. And maybe ultimately that was to his detriment. But I was thinking we're just going to get this flair player that was going to come in and do all these cool little tricks. And the first game I watched him going to crunching tackles, going for 50-50 headers. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, he's got all this flair and he wants to get involved. Ultimately,
Thiago yellow card bingo became a thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. That was my memory of him.
Cav Conroy, best Thiago memories or memory one.
The grass cutter goal. Obviously, it just still. When you hit a ball and you've hit it so beautifully well. I've played football all my life. I've never hit a ball that's cut the grass like that. That is just class, technical ability personified. Just unbelievable. A man that just knows exactly what he's doing. Football runs through his bones and his blood. A bit of a weird one, but I remember when we were chasing the league title on the final day of the season and we were struggling to get a goal, and he does a little feint to allow the ball roll through to Mane, and Mane goes and gets the goal that pulls us back in. And I'm just like, that's the bit. I thought, obviously we didn't go on to win the title. Man City won that game when they beat Villa, but I was like, oh my God, that's the difference. That's the key. That's what we needed to go and win it. And then key moments, he just shown that class, that world class ability. So that's always one that just jumps to my mind for some particular reason.
Conroy?
Yeah, I think for me, people forget about this, so I have to say this one. He was in the Team of the Year 21-22. People forget about this. He was in the PFA Team of the Year. So say he didn't do anything in England is just a nonsense. If you look at the calibre in the title race that year, he was in that Team of the Year. I think a moment, just two quick ones. Man City semi-final, Mane's goal. I think he dinks the pass. He just oozed class in that moment, and that was a massive game as well. It's a big win. I think because it's not a final, people forget about it. That was against a very, very strong team, and it was a great result. And that was some finish by Mane as well. Don't get me wrong, but the pass was exquisite. And the penalty against Chelsea in the FA Cup, pressure's on. What's going to happen? You could cut the tension with a knife, and he does a dink wide off the post. I'm still I watch a lot of penalties. I'm still not exactly sure what he done. Sent the keeper the wrong way, dinked it off the post. Just under immense pressure, just so calm, just simplified football in the sense of he's that good that football is just simple to him. So, yeah, what a player. And do you know what? At FA Cup and being in the team of the year and some amazing moments, I think it's been pretty good, to be honest.
Joe Matip is the second player that comes out. My God. And Joe Matip, in true Joe Matip-eccentric style, comes out before he's announced. I mean, if ever Joe Matip, please don't go on a mazy run. Do you remember we used to say, "Oh no, Joe Matip"? Well, Joe, I was like, they haven't announced you yet, Joe. Wait, and he's off.
Grizz, the taxi's still running, mate. He's not bothered about all this sentiment. He's in. He's got a taxi outside.
Guys, if you have a chance to just watch the whole Joe Matip coming out again, it was hilarious. Cav, in my opinion, the best. I mean, obviously, in the conversation is McAllister and Milner at the top of my head. In my opinion, for the amount of games he's played and what he's won, I think Joe Matip is the best free transfer in Liverpool history.
Yeah, I'd go along with that. Yeah, absolutely. I think James Milner played a significant part in our success and player development and assisting the coaches and being a leader inside the camp. But Joe Matip, it's so funny. We just spoke about Thiago and how, you know, he's short, low center of gravity, silky on the ball, twists left and right, knows what he's doing all the time, always seems in control. You're confident watching him, and then you get gangly Joe Matip in contrast, but yet still so much control in his own right. You know, still such an incredible player at the ball at his feet, even though he looks like he's got joints like a giraffe. It's crazy. Like, he is, as a human being, giving us so many funny moments. He is just on the pitch and off the pitch. It's just like, this guy is so lovable, just so lovable. Because he's
this actually a good shout, right?
He's just loved by every player, every coach, fans, and he's an incredible player. And you know, sometimes I think when we talk about Joe Matip, we do that thing where we say free transfer, and sometimes I'm a little bit like, not that it discredits him a little bit, but I'm a bit like, it takes away from the fact he's an incredible defender, like incredible at points in his Liverpool career. I would argue probably playing better than Virgil at times. Like, he has literally been an incredible centre-back for us. And you always think, he's tall, not particularly fast. No one ever beats him for pace. No one ever runs beyond him. His positioning, his awareness, his timing of challenges, you know, his calmness. I think he's an incredible defender. And then you add to that the mazy runs, the dribbling ability that seems to just come out of nowhere. His goals from set pieces. I just think as a player and as a man, I think he's just been he just makes you smile when you think of Joe Matip, and that's an incredible thing. And I don't know what he'll do or whether he'll retire, but whoever gets him is just going to absolutely love the man. And yeah, it's funny how he ran out early. It seemed like he just wanted it over and done with quick, because he's not one for a centre of attention, but I think that's
exactly it. Over and done with. You're spot on.
Yeah, but Virgil made sure he got the final slap in and made sure, no, you ain't going anywhere without your props. I mean, Virgil absolutely loved him, didn't he? Loved him. And you think about how good Virgil's been for us and how much we talk about him. Virgil will know in himself he owes a lot of that to Matip as well, because there's a partnership. They really complemented each other well.
Keith, have you got any special memories with Joe Matip? My favourite Matip memories is slapping him on the back. Skip to my says, "What a player! Even better teammate."
Oh, Joe, I remember seeing that in real time as well, and absolutely pissing myself. That was in the Inter game, I think it was. The way he was just like, what are you doing? You know what, right? I would honestly, it's two things with Joe Matip, right? First of all, it's, you know, how much can his body really hold up? And it's the same for Thiago as well. Like, I wonder at what point do you look at it and you think, you know, do I need to carry on playing football, or am I going to live a life in pain? Because he picked up a lot of injury. I think he's got a screw in his ankle that kind of keeps him pretty much all together. So I'm torn between. But if he's recovered from that injury and he's ready to carry on, I hope he stays in the Premier League. because I think he is, without a shadow of a doubt, at one stage in our team, he was the best dribbler in our team. Like, I never knew a man that could take on a man from deep. None of our midfielders. When we had the Henderson, Wijnaldum, Fabinho midfield at times, like, to break the lines when we were playing against deep teams that sat deep, it took a Joel Matip mazy run to open teams up, and he's incredibly gifted with the ball at his feet, brilliant at set pieces, knows how to time a tackle. I mean, he did have a career at Liverpool of two halves, because when he started at Liverpool, he was alongside Dejan Lovren. At one stage, I thought, this isn't really going to last long. But once Virgil van Dijk came into the picture, to Cap's point, they complemented each other superbly well. And I always think that, Joel with the right partner really allows himself to shine as a centre back. So I hope he stays in the Premier League, because I actually think he will become, I think he already has become more of a cult hero for Liverpool, if you will. But I actually think he could be a cult hero of the Premier League. He gets plays for some decent top 10 clubs. I think he will stand out even more so than he did at Liverpool. My favourite one will always be the Leeds goal, because I think that just epitomised Joel Matip's runs from deep. The guy picks up the ball from his own half, dribbles halfway there, 1-2, and slots it home. I thought it was just, it was a goal that all your best midfielders would be so happy to score. And the other moment has to be the assist for Divock Origi for the Champions League final goal. You know what I mean? It may have just been a pass to the side, but it was Joel Matip that was involved in that. He will always be credited with the Champions League final assist. So Godspeed, Joel Matip, man. You are, what a player. What a player in every sense of the word. One of the Premier League's best defenders when he was on.
I'm totally opposite of you. I don't want him to ever play for anyone else. I want him all to myself in terms of playing in the Premier League. If he wants to play in a different league, fair play, but I could not accept him playing for any other team in the Premier League. I love Joel Matip. Big up Joel Matip.
The tantrums were hilarious. I remember.
How about the no context Matip Twitter account? I mean, what are they going to do?
I'm sorry. We need to shout out the video where he's just rattling off the coconut facts. That video is just so, it's just incredible self-awareness from the media team again, to know the type of character Matip is and why he would be perfect to have that written in a script. And if I may, Grizz, I just want to say, Matip is a defender who could probably thrive in any generation of the sport, because he's good enough on the ball, more than good enough on the ball, to do the modern thing of playing out from the back and being press resistant. But he was tall enough to play in eras before that. Didn't have a standout physical trait, wasn't the strongest, wasn't the fastest, but you'd never see him get beat 1v1, really. You know what I mean? When wingers would have a go at him, he was still deceptively hard to get around. Van Dijk's had a lot of great partners. Van Dijk's had world-class partnerships with Gomez, a world-class partnership with Konate and with Matip. But if I had to choose one of those partnerships as my favorite with Van Dijk in it, I would say it's the one with Matip, just because I thought they were incredibly complementary. When he was on it, when he was fit, when he was in his groove, he's a top 5 center back in the Premier League at worst. At best, perhaps only second to Van Dijk. There was a time I think you could fairly argue that, maybe in about 2019-ish or so. I will miss Joel Matip dearly. And again, somewhat like Thiago, but not to the same extent. My only regret is couldn't have seen more of Joel Matip. But at the same time, that opened up the door for guys like Konate and Kwanzaa to flex their muscle as well. So can't be too upset about it.
It's not only, as I said, on the pitch. We're going to miss him. He's just personality, and you can see how much he's loved by the team. And team bonding and team building and team relationships behind the scenes is so important, guys. And, watching Matip behind the scenes, we all see the inside training and sort of the off-pitch antics and the sort of the media videos that from time to time our sponsors make us do. And you can see Joel Matip is just he is what we imagine he's like off the pitch. That's what he's like. And that's the beauty of it.
I just think he doesn't. Well, I think he might be my favorite footballer, like personality. Not to watch necessarily, because I think he just doesn't really take it as serious as other people. I feel like it's like
he's brilliant.
But that's beautiful as well, because you got some people who it's like constantly tension, whereas he's quite. It's hard to explain. I think he just doesn't take himself too seriously, and it actually works so well for him. Like even the runs, as Keith mentioned, like going on those little "I'm going on an adventure" type of mazy runs, but he'd usually keep the ball a lot of the time. It's just I think he's for when I obviously don't know him personally, just seems like he's got a very good outlook on everything. And even that ceremony, he was literally like, right, let's get this out of the way so I can get out of here.
He was going through shaking the fucking owners. I don't even think he knows who these people are. I'm not joking. He was just shaking their hand like, hello, nice to meet you, nice to meet you, nice to meet you. He just get on with it. And then he was like, next, okay, what's next? Get on, give me the award. I need to get out of here. Please, I'm finished. I'm John Matip. Okay, fine. And everyone's like, calm down, John. No, I need to go.
Do you know what? For the I don't know if they still do it now, but you remember when they used to do player cams, so you could just watch one player. I'll just watch him because you're guaranteed to be entertained. He will just do something. He will just walk funny, or he'll throw a tantrum. He'll slap the ground. Like the amount of times that like a player would go down in the opposition, and he'd just stand over him taking the mick. Like, just
what you doing? Like I didn't touch you. It's mad.
Nobody was better at getting mad at the referee than Joel Matip, just in terms of the entertainment value.
Without
that's the beautiful
not one word of abuse would have been directed at the referee. Not one swear word.
But he still provided what we wanted to see from the players was the most respectful, large amount of disgust. You know, just some of the reactions were just crazy. He relied on other people to talk to the refs for him, but some of the reactions to some of the softer calls that would go against him were just absolute cinema.
What's the one where he's like in the walk? I mean, sorry, Grizz.
Evan won't know what the fuck we're talking about because snooker in USA is like might as well be talking about cricket.
Is that cricket? Is that a cricket thing?
This is snooker. This is snooker. Another sport. Yeah.
What are these things? You're just making them up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mark Williams of football. I mean, that's a great shout. Mark Williams of football. That's a brilliant shout from Coromilli.
What was the walk he done? What's that footage he done? Like the walk, like the big strides.
Yeah. Just one of many.
Yeah.
What was that one?
He's had a few.
It's like he does big strides. It's like a walk he does. He's just having a laugh. I can't remember. It's during the game.
It's fucking brilliant.
I still remember the little bit of media they did where he had to get a haircut and he got a skin fade and Virgil did not leave him alone. Virgil did not leave him alone. He was just like all day. He was just like, "Ooh, fresh haircut. Look at this guy."
The legend. He called him the legend. Do you remember that T-shirt? Joe Matip legend Virgil was wearing. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Funny Kenny wanted to say some extra words to Matip. He just flew past Kenny Dalglish. I saw that as well. That was hilarious.
The taxi is literally outside the meter running.
I told you, Joe's like, I'm going. Please leave me alone. Brilliant. Look, obviously, onto as Joe Matip passed through the congregation and sort of what's it called? The tunnel they make. What's it called? Guard of honor. Obviously, more and more serious people and very, very vital people. Next was Andres Kornmeier, head of fitness and conditioning. Then it was Ray Horn, general manager, very familiar face. Always there and thereabouts, home and away, sort of the man who just organizes all the trips and the hotels and the travel and everything else. Big John Achterberg, wow, what a ride and what a journey, what an adventure he had. So many people used to blame him when we just had shit keepers, basically. We didn't hear about him after Allison joined because, hey, we had a world-class keeper. And then it was obviously down to his right hand and left hand lieutenants. Peter Kravitz takes a bow, unsung hero, absolutely unsung hero, a great man behind the scenes. And if anyone's not watched it, go and check out his interview on the Red Men TV. He comes across very, very funny and quite a personality character. And then I guess Pep Lijnders, Pep Lijnders comes out and Pep Lijnders has had, I'll let you describe what kind of relationship he's had with the Liverpool fan base and how you think what memory you'll have of him, lasting memory.
Oh, I mean, positive, lasting memory of Pep Lijnders. How could it not be? His only crime was he had an unfortunately timed release of a book that was perhaps a bit ironically named due to Liverpool's current
Jeez.
issues when it came out. That, I mean, but is that his fault? No, because Pep Lijnders was a huge part of our success. Again, Klopp says I couldn't have done it without these guys, Kraus and Lijnders, all these other people in the back room. I didn't even need Klopp to say that to believe it, but of course, once Klopp says it, you can't doubt it. I'm glad Lijnders was able to come back because obviously he leaves for a short period of time during the Klopp era. I'm glad he came back and was able to experience more success for us, and now he gets what I think is a really good move for his career by going to Salzburg. Positive memories of Pep Lijnders. Just seems like a really, really nice guy, a really, perfect number 2 for Klopp. So yes, Pep, if you're watching this, don't forget to write, and also don't be afraid to give us a few of those wonder kids that they're growing in labs over there at Salzburg. Yes, I will remember you fondly. Welcome back anytime, and I'll be watching your career with ardent enthusiasm, my friend.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll have great memories of Pep Lijnders. I don't know if you guys want to add anything on the Pep Lijnders stuff. I mean, I used to just be fascinated, and I could listen to him talk about football for ages and
Oh
ages and
yeah,
ages.
yeah.
He's an absolute,
You,
go on, Keith.
so you can't. What my last memory of Pep Lijnders is you can't talk about the development of these players and these young players in particular, and then not credit Pep Lijnders, who was on the training pitch every single day, coaching the tactics, developing the players. All this talent that we've been accustomed to, and all of this praise that we've lavished Jurgen Klopp and the stars that have come up, be it Trent Alexander-Arnold, Curtis Jones, the adjustments of positions for players like Gini Wijnaldum. That doesn't happen unless day in, day out, week in, week out, there's not a coach on the training pitch making sure they get the best out of them. And Pep Lijnders, other than the untimely book and then the silliness, in my opinion, that came out, the backlash that came out on social media, which kind of showed social media in its worst light, in my opinion. Put all that to the side. You're looking at a coach that was respected by top players, right? At no point did you ever hear Mo Salah have a rant about a Pep Lijnders or throw a strop on the training field. At no time did you ever hear about any training field bust-ups when the goings got tough. The players respected him, and we respect the players, so we should respect him. So, at the end of the day, there's no development, there's no tactical development, there's no youth development, there's no young development and integration into this first team to take us to the heights that we went to without what Pep Lijnders did. And Pep Lijnders also did so off the back of Liverpool losing Buvek, who at the time was seen as like the end of days because he was Jurgen Klopp credited as the brain and credited as the reason Jurgen Klopp was so successful, which was clearly nonsense. So, big up to Pep. He filled in some massive shoes, in all fairness to him, and he took it to another level. Can he do it on his own? That's all, do assistant managers make great managers? That will, time will tell. But what he's done for Liverpool Football Club, I think is nothing sort of outstanding. And I think we're very lucky to have him be the soundboard for Jurgen Klopp.
Mab says, Grizz, as mentioned on your playback yesterday. By the way, guys, 300 of you guys in here. I'm not sure if all of you have joined my playback channel, actually, because I don't recognize your names in there. So can all of you, it takes literally 1 second, join my playback channel. I'm going to be doing tons of daily content on my playback channel. So go over there and check it out. It's much more interactive. We can react to videos. We reacted to every tribute today. We watched the playback. We watched the game live. We watched the interviews and everything. So it's a very, very, very fun, active platform that I'm promoting. I'm trying to promote. So it would help me, and I'd appreciate it. And Mab says, and you've got good people like Mabs who says, Grizz mentioned, as mentioned on your playback, yeah, my offer extends to treat you and the rest of the Redfellas. Have you seen Keith eat to dinner if we win the next season? You will, my friend, have to remortgage. But fair's fair.
What do we get if we get second or third? Does the offering extend? Do we get like 2 courses instead of 3?
Oh,
or
God. What do you like? What you
All I
like?
need is 2.
All I need is two big ones. Big plates.
After Pep Lijnders, and he does the old fist pump, and I thought it was brilliant. He wanted it. He didn't want it to be a sad exit. He wanted it to be a celebration. Jurgen Klopp, guys, there's no order. There's no whoever wants to speak. We guess we all want to have a say on it. Jurgen Klopp comes out, and that speech is one for the ages, guys. And I'll say it again, and I'll say it until the very end. He doesn't plan any of this stuff. It's not written. He hasn't got a script writer for him and everything. He just says what he wants, comes out, and it's pure off the cuff, and it's brilliant. He has a word, he has a sentence, he has a reaction for every situation. And that's a genius of a man. That's not someone who's just a fist pumper and a shouter and a motivator. Someone who has a reaction, someone who has a sentence in response to every situation, in my eyes, is a genius. And that's what he is. Anyone, whoever, whatever.
I think just on the speech, before we talk about the man and the manager, I think the speech was really fitting. He always finds the words, doesn't he? And he always surprises you. You think you know what you're going to get with when you know he's going to do the speech. You kind of know it's a farewell. You kind of know he's going to try to rile everybody up and be positive, and yet he still says something that you're like, I didn't think of it that way. Okay, yeah, I get that now. Put things into perspective. But I think next season, a lot of fans are excited, and rightly so. It's a new era and a new manager, and a lot of fans are optimistic, and a lot are probably pessimistic. A lot are probably thinking, well, how do you replace the big man? How do you replace one of the best coaches in the world? There's not, Arnold Slot's not been around for a whole load of time. He's not won any major honors around Europe and stuff. So a lot of fans would be sort of a bit worried. And Klopp just kind of said some words that was just like, look, start the season off positives. Don't wait for things to happen. Go out there and cheer the team on. Look at the ability that they've got. If you push them, they will get so far. And then obviously the manager will take care of the rest. And I think it's just really encouraging. He never makes it about himself. It was always going to be. But he said enough to say, look, Liverpool will be fine, and keep going, and there's life after me, and I think that's really positive, because that much is true. We will all be sat here every Sunday next season, and we won't be talking about Jurgen Klopp. We'll be talking about the current game, the current manager, and the current players. So we have to find a way of accepting the new norm, and one of the great aids in doing that is by the man, the current figure, allowing us to, giving us grace to do that, and I think his words were really well put. He obviously chanted the next manager's name, which was a bit of a surprise, but even better to sort of give that man a little bit of a lift up, because when he steps in, I think it's big boots to fill, and that he'll feel like he's got to feel like an imposter, surely. When he takes that first training session, the first team meeting, the first link up that they have with the players on preseason, whatever it is, the first introduction to the fans and stuff, he's going to feel like an imposter, because there's such big boots to fill. And he needs to make sure that he's instantly liked, he instantly connects, and that he encourages the players that we're going to move forward, and we're going to go on to win things. And so the only thing Klopp can do is to aid that and make sure that he supports our future in the best way possible. And I think the speech did that. So I think he chose his words really well, and it felt really authentic and genuine, which sums up who he is.
Fun facts are going to come in left, right, and center. We won 2-0 against Wolves in the 89 season. The following season, we won the league. And then he goes on to sing, this slot. No. Yeah, it was just befitting of the man, guys. Keith, Conroy.
I just, obviously I love wrestling. I'm a big WWE fan, and
No, I wouldn't have known, to be honest with you. Wouldn't have guessed.
just to remind you every
You
time.
never mentioned that, mate.
You never
Yeah.
mentioned
That's
it.
it. That's all it's got to say.
Yeah,
There's
in
nothing else.
in 4 years of 3 years of how long we've been, you've never mentioned it.
We always get new fans, I'm sure. We always get new subscribers. No, basically what the way he gave that speech today, the way us wrestling fans would call it cutting a promo, right? And the best people that cut promos are the ones that can like control the crowd. That's speaking. No pre-written words, nothing in paper, to set up in front of 60,000 people and deliver such an incredible speech in the manner that he did. And when the fans were chanting, he let them chant, then they stopped, then he continued, then he was controlling X, Y, and Z. It was just the manner of the man. I think that was the first time we got a glimpse of what the players would say when they would be 3-0 down, and it would be like, Jurgen Klopp's halftime team talk and how it encouraged them to victory. And like, what did Jurgen Klopp say? Or I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when Jurgen Klopp gave that speech, and look at the players responded after halftime. That's what we saw. That was the way that he manages to control the message, say the right things at the right time, and delivers. And that's the most important thing, is the delivery. It is so hard to stand up in front of a group of people and deliver any type of presentation, whatever you're trying to get across. It is so difficult. He doesn't he doesn't he doesn't stutter. He's just so in with his conviction of his message. Just was the thing that I'm so glad that we got to see that as the parting gift. I think that is a gift to all Liverpool fans to be able to see that. It's not the same as the media stuff, because the media stuff is just a bunch of journalists trying to catch Klopp into headlines and ask silly questions. This was just his opportunity to take the microphone and just deliver from the heart. And that's what I love the most about it. And I would also say, he was like, oh, I heard some of you guys doing this chant. I would love to know if anybody actually did that Arnie Slot chant, or if he just took it on his own back to actually create that. Because I watched the game today, I didn't hear that Arnie Slot chant at all. And that was the first time I've heard it. So it's almost as if he said it. He was like, oh, I've heard of some of you of doing this chant, so I thought I'd do it along with you. And he literally just went like that, and he just created a chant for the new manager. That, for me, to open the door for the next man to come in with their own chant already looked in, co-signed by the manager, it's just the measure of the man. I thought that part in particular was genius. And whatever, Slot's gonna obviously come in, and it's gonna be an interesting situation, etc., etc. But the club is, if I'm Arnie Slot, I'm excited as hell. I mean, this is, if you believe in yourself as a manager, you have just been given the golden goose, in my opinion, to go ahead and really stake a name for yourself as one of the top managers in the world.
Arnie Slot is already excited, as we know. He speaks about us every week, and there's uproar on social media, right, guys? Like, oh my God, why is he talking about us? Well, your greatest manager of the modern day Liverpool has just announced your new manager. So let's have a bit of a, what's the word?
Decorum.
Like let's have a bit of decorum, and we know what's happening, and Arnie Slot, but huge of him, and absolutely normal of him, because he's the normal one, right, Evan, to not make it about him. Try not to make it. How many times did he refer to his staff? How many times did he refer to the future? How many times did he refer to, I feel so comfortable and normal, and I'm sad. I'm sad that I'm leaving, but I'm so happy because I'm a fan. And he just left us believing that he's one of us. He sang that chant. He wants us to sing that chant. He's going to be singing that chant. He's going to be supporting like a fan. One day he may be watching Redfellas on a Sunday night like a fan, like us guys. This is what made him.
His struggles get in.
Exactly. This is what made him so lovable and so appreciated, right? By every fan base, pretty much, if you really sit them down and ask them, right?
Yeah, me and Cav were saying it before the show started. When you have someone who absolutely transcends the job in the description and the responsibilities, and they connect with people on a personal human level, then it becomes difficult to put into words what their impact is and how to measure it and how to go about lavishing praise. Because if that's the case, then we'd be stuck here all day, all night, all summer, talking about how Jurgen Klopp has managed to reach people and connect with them. And in that speech, he showed why he's been so impactful. He shows why he's so universally adored, why we hold him in such reverence, and why he has found a place in each and every one of our hearts. You know, it goes without saying that he leaves the club with infinitely stronger foundations than how he found us, you know. And we didn't need a speech to know that, to unanimously agree on that. But what he does, it just when you think he couldn't leave us in, you know, a stronger position, he gives us not only a song for the new manager, but a full endorsement of the new manager, a continued belief that although he is calling it a day, the success can still happen. And that was the feeling he gave us all with his speech, and that's what he said to us very explicitly. You know, I did not turn you from doubters to believers. I just reminded you of what's possible when you do believe and when we all believe together. Football's all about how it makes you feel. If it was just about silverware, that would disqualify 99.9% of people from ever enjoying it. Football is about how it makes you feel. Jurgen Klopp has made us all feel a certain way. Jurgen Klopp is why I'm a red fella. It's why you're a red fella. It's why we all do this show. I would not be involved on the internet as a Liverpool fan if it wasn't for Klopp. Because of him, I had this fervent desire to connect with people about it, to see what was, you know, being said about Klopp and his methodologies and his training and his tactics, and to just bask in it with the rest of you. You know, how could we possibly measure what he has done for people's lives in that regard? You know, if it's prompted me to go on the internet and build a following and connect with people, what else has it done for other people? You know, my experience has been minor, but it's meant still so much. Yeah, I tweeted this out earlier, and I think this is the perfect summary of my thoughts. I'm not exaggerating when I say one of the great challenges of the rest of my life will be learning to love this club differently, because it'll never be the same after him. But he's made me feel that I can learn how to do it. And for that, I thank him each and every day for the rest of my life.
It's difficult. It's difficult to express what he means to us, especially in sort of an instant reaction. Reactions will be flooding in for weeks and on and ends, you know, sort of in terms of how to express our love, our gratitude to this man. And some may find it cringe. I couldn't give a fuck. Because as we said, you have to be us to go through what we've gone through before and what we've sort of witnessed in the last 9 years, the emotional roller coaster. Kenny, in one of the clips, I don't know if you guys saw it in sort of the tributes, Kenny Dalglish said when he was appointed, I said, strap yourselves, guys. This will be one hell of a journey. And how right King Kenny was, eh? A wise old man. Because this is it. He'll forever be one of us. And that's what's the beauty of it, guys. We've had coaches, we've had managers, every team has coaches, managers. Very few leave when they want through the front door with a huge smiling face, fist pumping, a packed home crowd. It's just almost perfect, right? In the modern, in as much as you can get in the modern game, right?
Yeah, sorry, Cora, just one thing before you go. Evan talks about he transcends beyond football, and I find it incredible when you look at the world today and what people become famous and what people gain power and their hows and ways and means unfortunately, quite often it's through a shortcut or it's through screwing the next man over. And Jurgen Klopp's just gone about it in the right way. And this is how I described it to my family, believe it or not, because I don't live in Liverpool. All my mates and family around me are rival fans, and when Klopp announced he was leaving, they sort of mentioned it to me, but almost like a little bit ridicule, because they know how much it means to me, and they're trying to get a reaction and try to wind me up. And I said this to them. I was like, I have followed this man. I watch his actions. I listen to his words, and I'm a better person for it. Like, he is an ultimate leader. And how many people can you think of at the top of your head when, if you were asked, give me a role model, right, where I can watch what they do, how they do it, how they carry themselves, the things they say, right? How could I watch that person and take what they've done and apply it to my own life, and I will be happier for it? There's not many people in the world that can do that. And that's where I think he's so special, is because he didn't just deliver good football. He gave us something that we can all look at and take away and use on our own lives for our own benefit. And I think that is a proper leader. And I know, as speaking personally, as a family member, as a son, not yet a father, but as a man with employees and people that I need to lead, I've been able to do that because I've recognized through Jurgen Klopp what's really important in achieving success. And ultimately, it's the things we're taught as a kid, and we often forget. It's about the people around us. It's about some very simple basics in life. And he's epitomized that if you get the basics right, and you treat everybody around you with the respect that you want yourself, and you work hard enough, you can achieve things. And quite often we don't see that, because as we know in football, if you spend the most money or you get the best of everything, you can go and win. And he did it in the proper way, I would describe. So I think he's an incredibly special man for that reason.
Conroy, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think like everyone summed up the speech in his words. I'm not going to, reiterate what all the guys have covered that very well. It's just, it's no surprise that he does that. But I just wanted to raise a few points on that. I feel like the reason Cav's saying those things as well, and a lot of people are saying that about him, I think it's because football specifically it's went so far the other way. It's so far with money, but it doesn't mean people spending all the time. It means just in general, like between the 17-year-olds who are buying mortgages off houses, there's not a lot of real relatability with majority of football fans who are working class, who are 95 every day. That is the case. And I feel like because Jurgen Klopp is relatable, like he says, he's like a normal person doing a kind of unnormal type of job. I feel like that's the reason a lot of people find him fascinating or captivating, is because he's relatable. And I think in life, a lot of the time, if you look at the stuff you listen to, it's because there's relatability there. So I think that's the one thing with Klopp, and I feel like he understands, even when it comes to societal issues, topics. You can see him. You could imagine meeting him in your life, if you know what I mean. So I think that's why a lot of people have a connection with him. I don't think that's a coincidence at all. And the other thing is, when it goes back to my point about football kind of being out of touch sometimes, or there's so much now where it's like so much money pushed the other way, there's not always that connection with the fans. Even though we do feel at Liverpool at times there's definitely it's been reinforced with Klopp being here. And I don't think there's many teams, you may say Dortmund, stuff like that, a few other teams in the world, there will be, but there's a lot of teams where it definitely feels more of touch. The other thing is there's so many managers nowadays, not them all, but there's the narcissism, verging confidence and arrogance. They wouldn't think about the next manager coming in or the team. It'd be about, this is my moment, this is me, this is how important I am. I mean, Mourinho's probably considered one of the best managers in the last 20 years, and he's literally putting 3 fingers up just to remind everyone how many Premier League titles he's won when he played Chelsea. There's a lot of narcissism in football, especially in management and coaches, and I feel like that shows Klopp as a person in that moment to keep it onto the club and not on him. Focus on the club and don't focus on him. And that's not a surprise, but I just think, as everyone said, that just shows the measure of the man in that moment with all that emotion, that he's focusing on what you can do going forward, and I'll be here as a supporter. And again, I don't know if you'll ever see a moment specifically like that in future for any team. You kind of have to, I think Keith said in You need to bottle these moments up at times, and I feel like if you could bottle that feeling and that emotion, you could sell it for a lot of money. It's quite a unique experience, and we'll speak about him in future, definitely. But you're going up against the next manager coming in is going up against someone where, you know, the odds are probably going to be stacked against them. And by Klopp doing that today, it really has helped the next manager massively. And I feel like not every person in football would do that. So credit to him again. Outstanding.
I was good. The watch along was good. We had fun. Didn't get too emotional. But guys, I think we would agree when someone like Virgil van Dijk, 6'4", huge beast, all we ever talk about is Virgil's calmness. That's what he's known as, right? Calm as he's like, you know, in amongst penalty boxes and sort of opposition and bullying centre backs, and his aura of invincibility around him. Suddenly his aura of invincibility had just gone. It just suddenly went. And all it took was one final Klopp hug for his aura of invincibility to be breached. Not many times have we seen Virgil van Dijk's aura of invincibility breached, hey guys? And there was one man who broke it in front of us, live, in front of millions and millions watching. And as much as I don't know how you want to describe Virgil. He's been described by sort of non-Liverpool fans as arrogant or whatever and joke. But I don't know how, wherever you say about him, you know, he's never unruffled, sort of never mud on his shirts, clean as a whistle, hair absolutely impeccable, like our very own Keith, you know. But yeah, he embraces Jurgen Klopp at the end there, hugs him, doesn't let him go until Jurgen, like normally it's like, you know, a quick hug and a quick fist pump and off they go. He holds him on for dear life as much as he can in public. And then when he lets go, I was gone, watching Virgil be gone. And I don't know about you guys, but I could not contain myself. And whoever was on the watch along, big up all of you guys. I was gone. I was a grown ass man in tears. I was like, this guy. Everything that what you guys have just said about Jurgen Klopp comes to light in terms of how he transcends himself into sort of bigger things. And Virgil, all the memories must have come flooding back to Virgil about his time, about his move from Southampton. At one stage, was it in danger? But Jurgen Klopp probably keeping him calm. It's going to happen. And then the journey the two of them went through, the injury Virgil van Dijk had, where he was out for a whole season, come back and winning the league, the Champions League, and I went, guys. I absolutely went. Don't know about you guys.
Yeah, that's the moment that got me. And then seeing Trent when they were stood at the cot, arms linked, singing "You'll Never Walk Alone," and the tears in Trent's eyes as well. It's so real, isn't it? That's the thing. If it was a movie, you'd be just as upset. But this is real life. This is real emotions, and this is life. This is what you're meant to feel. You're meant to feel incredibly happy and sad and all of the emotions he's given us. But yeah, you see a guy like Virgil break down. You just
who are we, man?
It's all right for me to cry. It's
good
for Virgil. I'm going as well.
Do you know what I mean? If it's good enough for Virgil van Dijk, you know, Colossus of Colossus, calm as you like, unruffled as I said, then who the fuck are we? Guys, if there's anything else, say it. Otherwise, I'm going to leave you guys with the final speech. Is there anything that you wanted to say? We're good.
I just wanted to thank everybody rocking with us in the chat. Of course, we always say thank you, but it's been a strange season in more ways than one, more ways than 5, more ways than 10. You know, it's been I said it a few weeks ago. It's felt like a long season. It's felt like a really long season with a ton of different eras and mini chapters within it. But thanks to everybody for rocking with us. And the most important part of football fandom begins tomorrow, and that's transfers. As we all know, the most important part of football, transfers.
We have a day off
tomorrow.
But
yeah,
we can have a whole
No, honestly, it's true. Big up the community. Especially, it's, a lot of times we've been walking around London. We've seen people that have recognized and said hello. Big you guys up for always tuning in, being amazing in the chat. This has been a true life changer for myself and the boys on this as well. Do you know what I mean? To be able to come here every Sunday and have therapy sessions, have enjoyment sessions, get our personality across, and we were all able to go on this Jurgen Klopp rides together. And it's been an emotional tour, and whatever's coming next, we'll be sure to be.
We will be there.
We will be there.
We will be there. Guys, I'm going to leave you with Jurgen Klopp's speech at the end. Pretty much the last bit of media. I don't know if anyone saw anything after this, where he's addressing his soldiers for the one last time. And he says, I love you. That's all I can say. The football you are able to play is absolutely ridiculous. I can't wait watching you developing, making the next steps becoming third. I don't even know yet who the champion is. City? He turns around and asks them. There you go. The only one who stopped them is us. And you can do that again. I said it this morning. There might be some people who say that's not enough. I tell you, they don't have a clue about football. Could you have done better in moments? Yes, of course. That's always possible. But did you better than yourself usually expect? Oh, yes. Because it takes longer to become a top team again. And you did that. Clicks fingers like that. That's why expectations get blown up and then we couldn't keep their pace. That's the problem a little bit. But besides that, becoming third in the first season of Liverpool 2.0, and from now on with new energy from outside for you, with new influences, with new boosts, and with new chances for proving yourself, that's good for squeezing everything out of your career. So it's already too much. I want to say I love you. It was absolutely outstanding. Thank you for the ride. I'm so proud of you, and I'm so proud that I've been allowed to be part of this. Thank you very much. The sky is the limit for you boys. And he says again, thank you. Guys, in my lifetime, there's never been a manager as in tune with the fans as Jurgen Klopp. And he left with his name being sung from all quarters of the ground. It was emotional. It was beautiful. The Klopp era is now over. And we enter a new dawn. Redfellas will be part of that new dawn. Win, lose, or draw, as we said, we will be here. But on behalf of Redfellas, on behalf of the whole community that tunes in on a Sunday evening, win, lose, or draw, thank you, Jürgen. Over and out, people.
Welcome to the Half Space Football.